Welcome to another edition of the MVFC First and Goal podcast. I'm Kelly Burke, and my guest today is my former college teammate at ASU. Kyle Morgan and I ran together on the ASU cross country and track team in college, and now he is working as a player personnel assistant for ASU football. Kyle, good to see you again and catch up.
Yeah, great for having me on. I appreciate it, and happy to see you again. It's like a different lifetime, isn't it?
I know, seriously, and it's kind of ironic that we both ended up in football in a different way.
Yeah, we're drawn there.
Yeah. So your official title is a player personnel assistant for ASU. What exactly does that mean, and what does your job entail?
Pretty much just watching as much film as I can of high school prospects. We're really grinding on the 2020 class, starting into 2021 class right now. Basically, I just filter through the guys that can play versus the guys that can't and pass them up our evaluation pipeline.
What are some of the key things when you're evaluating a player that you're specifically looking for and that this coaching staff is really hammering on?
So the big thing with this staff is the DNA. So they want fat. You'll hear a lot of things like fast, nasty, mean, physical. I mean, it's really a culture-changing approach to it. So no matter what position, you got to have those traits. And then from there, obviously, as you get into position breakdown, certain traits take over from there. So I like to focus on offensive linemen because I feel like games are won and lost up front. Yeah. So that's sort of my focus right now. And so really just, trying to find the mean, nasty, big guys that can move.
So how do you look for that on film, that mean and nasty?
You can tell. It sticks out. If you watch enough guys, you're going to see who's going to really finish their blocks. They're probably barking at them a little bit once they have them on the ground. It really stands out versus the guys that maybe don't want to hit you. They're a little hesitant in their cut blocks. They're not really looking to finish a block. That part sticks out more than anything else, and I like finding the nuances to that too, what they can do with their hips, feet, and hands, and placement, and all that stuff too. So it's really the nuances of it that I like. The mean and nasty part, that sticks out like a sore thumb. that jumps off the tape.
You recently spent a week in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. So why were you there, and what were the big takeaways from the week?
So I was there, let me back up a year ago. So I was invited through the Senior Bowl, the Scouting Academy to attend the Senior Bowl as a live classroom event.
Okay.
And so based on merit, I was invited there, got to evaluate live, and from there, you're milling around the lobby, you're meeting pretty much who's who in the NFL. And I was really hooked by that and got to meet a lot of great folks. And so from there, I knew I wanted to go back again. So this year I went back, got to reconnect a little bit with the Scouting Academy alums that I'd met, a lot of folks last year. But really it was just to meet some more folks and shake hands and really try and make connections for the future. I know it's not something that maybe I could help them out today or tomorrow, but maybe down the road we'll cross paths again and have a better connection there. So really it's just, who knows you, rub elbows with some of the best in the scouting world, and then really evaluate live. And that's the hard part. I think we get really spoiled when we just evaluate off tape and we can rewind it, slow it down, all that stuff, versus, really the top competition going at it live. Full speed, no rewinding, that's a little bit, takes a better trained eye. And so really it's just trying to hone in that skill as well too.
How much are you interacting or even sharing some of your knowledge with current ASU players who've just finished up their career or entering what they hope to be drafted, just about what scouts are looking for and how to get stuff to translate?
Yeah, I was able to speak with Rennell Wren, who attended the Senior Bowl from ASU a little bit. And, I really reached out to him leading up to it to see if I could help with the interview process, because I mean, it's a week-long grind at the Senior Bowl for these guys, and I just wanted to make sure he's dialed in from an interview standpoint. So that's something I'd like to expand on in my future, talking with other guys, but really not a big part of it right now. But obviously, the more people I could share with, the better moving forward.
For you, what was your epiphany moment when you realized that you really wanted to pursue the football thing?
Probably like 2015 or so. I'm watching a game and somebody says, they were talking about the play that happened. And I realized I don't watch the ball when I watch a football game. I was watching the offensive linemen, the one-on-one matchups. I really enjoy the chess match within the game. And so not just an X's and O's, offense versus defense, but really man-to-man in the trenches. What made that play work? What made it not work? That sort of thing. And so that really got me thinking like, oh, okay, maybe I watch the game differently than the guy next to me. And so then I just started researching it, ways to get better, reading books, watching film, writing reports, and then that got me into the Scouting Academy, where I could really focus on a process and how to do it, how to write your thoughts down, a little more terminology based, because I knew I lacked that, having not played. So really just, like I said, I was hooked. Any way I could get more knowledge, more football, I was all in for it. And so really it was that Scouting Academy that took it to the next level with me.
Have you always watched football in that way? I was thinking back to when we were in college, and I always remember you were an Ohio State fan,
Right.
having been from Ohio, but I just had no idea you were so passionate about football, so it was really cool to reconnect and to see what you're doing.
Yeah, so when we were traveling for our cross-country and track meets, and let's say we had a cross-country meet on a Saturday, it would kill me that I couldn't watch football that day. I really struggled with that. And, so that I should have known then. But you know what? What was I, like 5'9", 125 pounds then? So, not a lot of room on a football field for a guy like that. But, it's just something I've always loved. My dad played, was recruited by to play quarterback at NC State, and that didn't end up working out, but still football's always been a huge part of my life from him, and somebody that I could always ask questions to, and as we're watching a game, hey, what was that guy supposed to be doing there, that sort of thing. So it's really, he's just helped nurture that as time goes on too.
That's awesome. It's funny you bring up the Saturday thing from our meets, because I distinctly remember in college a meet that we had at Notre Dame, and we were supposed to go, we had a meet Saturday morning early, and we were supposed to go to the Notre Dame football game that afternoon because Adidas had given us tickets. And I remember Coach Strength decided that he changed our flight last minute and decided he wanted us to be back in Phoenix to do our long runs in time on Sunday morning. So we did not go to the Notre Dame football game. And I was distraught that we were not able to go and that we'd moved our flight.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker, right? Of all the meets,
I know.
It may be the only time you get to watch a game there.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're calling a game soon there, right?
Yeah, no, that would be great. That's definitely a goal. So how did it then work out now that you have gotten involved with ASU football? How did that materialize?
A lot of it's just through relationships, and I was fortunate enough to meet our current defensive coordinator, Danny Gonzalez. I was able to meet him at a mutual friend of ours at their senior, like a graduation party.
Nice.
We're eating tacos at a graduation party, and I get introduced to his wife, who they're lifelong friends. And then I didn't know who the guy was at the time. We were just, hi, nice to meet you. Not somebody that I thought that I would have a relationship with later on,
Yeah.
So at the time, he was the defensive backs coach at San Diego State. I'd bounce questions off of him. Hey, on this coverage, where are the responsibilities, where are the reads. I was doing some writing for Inside the Pylon. And again, at the Senior Bowl a year ago, I'm writing for Inside the Pylon, doing a draft guide. And one of the San Diego State defensive backs is out there. And so I'm able to interview him and get some background on him, too, for my report. So it's somebody that he knew. Coach Gonzalez knew my passion for it and was really great in answering questions when I'm sure he had 1,000 other things he'd rather be doing
Yeah.
as a coach. But so anyways, he gets the defensive coordinator job at ASU. And, that was in, December, January?
Yeah.
So around May, I hear that ASU's kind of redoing their personnel department. They want to do more of a pro model. And so I just pretty much cold call. I walked into the facility with 96 ounces of Starbucks coffee, asking to speak to the director, looking for a job. And long story, a lot of hoops to jump through. He wasn't in until 10 o'clock, so I was sitting in my car, for 3 hours, just kind of waiting. Didn't want to be the weird guy. And so anyways, finally got in his office. Pretty much just asked for a job, helping out, and my background in that. And it kind of came out that Coach Gonzalez and I had some sort of relationship prior to. And I found out that Coach Gonzalez I should back up. While I was sitting in my car waiting for our director to come in, I sent a text to Coach Gonzalez, like, hey, are you in? I just want to say hi. I'm here for a little bit. Just want to catch up. He's like, why are you here? I'm like, well, this is why. And he goes, hang on. And he sends me a screenshot of his text that he sent Al Luganville, our director.
Nice.
And it was a really nice review. So I knew that would really help me once I did get into his office.
That's great.
And anyways, I walked out, 30 minutes later with a role.
Good for you.
So just fighting every day to expand the role and help out any way I can, whether it's watching film, some analytics work, really just any way I can.
That's awesome. So you balance all this with being a firefighter as well. So how do you go between the two?
Right. So that was one of the deals with Al Luganville, our director. I told him, I'm like, look, I'm a full-time firefighter. I work 48-hour shifts. Is this going to work? And I knew that I had to prove to him that it would. And so I really just do a lot of my film work at home during my days off. A little bit of downtime in between calls at work. I'll watch some guys or type some evaluations, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, my 4 days off, I try and get into the office a couple times each week, really just to show my face, because I'm kind of the mystery guy, like you got all these a busy office, everybody's running around doing great work all day. And then there's this random guy that comes in, twice a week. And it works out for now, Obviously, if that were to expand, my role were to expand, then I'd have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for that decision, too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
To be honest. I mean, it's what I love. So any way I can, whether it's, college, NFL, anywhere, if it's football related, I'm ready to go.
So let's flash back to 2015. Did you ever foresee being where you are right now when you were just starting off classes at the Scouting Academy? I'm sure you probably hoped for it, but everything's sort of fallen together for you.
It has, yeah. And I guess I want to say I did envision it, because why do something if you don't see the goal? Whether, you professionally do the same way. Our background is runners, right?
Yeah.
Why do you go out and run if you don't have an end goal, an end time, something? So I think that mentality just carries through. And I didn't know what team. I didn't know what level. I didn't know if it would work, But again, a lot of stars aligned, and I'm very fortunate that it did. And I'm not done. Really, I just I got my foot in the door, and now I'm really motivated to break it open and actually be a decision maker for a program.
When you are delivering your reports and offering your analysis on specific guys that they're having you look at on film, when they then decide to offer one of those guys, how gratifying is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, so many guys come through their, when I say them, they're the coaching staffs, their inbox, right? I mean, we evaluate thousands of guys, and we have 25 scholarships. And so really, I mean, if it's one of your guys, you feel fantastic. There's some guys that you want to stand on the table for, and well, what about my guy type thing? You know? But I've only been there since June, so I haven't had that like my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a few out there. I hope they work out. Obviously, got some walk-ons coming in that I feel really good about.
Okay.
But hopefully with time, I'll be able to say like, yeah, that was my guy.
Yeah.
That guy's getting ready for the NFL draft now. I remember when I passed him along our pipeline.
That's great. You mentioned Al and that he's your boss and the guy in charge. How many other people like yourself are there doing what you're doing within ASU?
Yeah. Okay, so Al's our director, and then underneath him, well, he's got an assistant director, Freddie Gamage, who used to play receiver at ASU.
Yeah.
And then there's senior recruiting assistants underneath them, and then I work under the offensive senior assistant.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
Like I said, I'm more offensive line, that sort of thing. And so there's probably a dozen or so guys, that are filtering film, all different positions, different side of the ball. And then from there, once you get into game week and some of those guys get broken off, as their advanced scout the opposing team and try and get that report for the coaches Monday morning on game week. Cutting up film, good, bad, and ugly film on kids.
Yeah.
Once they make our big board, that sort of thing. So, we really do need about 10 to 15 guys to make sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
One other aspect that I find really interesting about you and your wife is that you have 7 kids, and 4 of them are 4 kids that you adopted through the foster care system. So how did you get involved in the foster care system?
My wife's a school teacher. She has her master's from ASU in early childhood development and that. And so from there, she went into teaching 3rd grade. She did that for 5 years. And every year, she'd say, oh, there's this kid I just want to bring home. Like the kid just needed a little bit extra love, support, encouragement, whatever. And I always just kind of like, all right, whatever,
Yeah.
That'll pass.
Yeah.
Well, she ended up, with schools reducing their teacher numbers and that, she ended up getting let go, which was fine because we had just had our 3rd child at the time, and she wasn't going to go back anytime soon anyway. So, so that was okay. And what I found was that those feelings kept, like, that wasn't going away.
Yeah.
She just wanted to collect kids, as she would say, And so I agreed. I finally realized it was probably her calling, and who am I to say, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't chase what you feel, that sort of thing. And so I agreed to go to an informational meeting, and that, 5 minutes into that, I realized that our life was going to change forever. So from there, we just kind of went through the classes because you have to be licensed and that. That was a little more involved than I thought, which is good, But it took some time and home inspections, making sure our medications and paint and all that stuff's locked up, that stuff. So But yeah, and then we went on the list, and a couple days later, we got a sibling set. We're able to bring them home for a little bit, and went back and forth. They got reunited then with the birth mom. And right around that time, we got a phone call from that same birth mom saying she was pregnant with twins.
Oh, wow.
She can't manage it. So we said we'd take them.
Yeah.
And so my wife was picking up this birth mom from home and taking her to prenatal, just really making sure that these kids had the best chance.
Yeah.
And so we ended up taking the twin girls home from the hospital 2
Nice.
weeks after they were born, premature and on feeding tubes and all that stuff. And then only to get a phone call. I'm a terrible historian. But we'll just say a number of months later that the two ones that we had before were back in foster care system.
Wow. Okay.
And they got placed with us then.
Okay. Wow.
So we added 4 kids to our home within a year.
Wow.
To our 3 already.
Yeah.
So that. What's that commercial? Life comes at you fast. we're living it.
Yeah.
And then there was an 8th baby that we had. Since he was born, he's since been returned to his birth mom, and we're hoping that we can hopefully adopt him someday, should that opportunity come.
Nice. And the twins, they're now 4 years old? Is that right?
Yeah, they turned 5 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yep. So it's been, I probably look tired all the time. I'm losing my hair. Life's changed.
Yeah, I'd say in a good way though.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I know we make light of all the hard times, but it is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. We drive a big 12-passenger van with a whole bunch of flip-flops on the back. I mean, it's pretty cool.
That's great. How much of an impact did adding the 4 have on your own kids personally?
Or
I guess I should say the 3 that you already have.
Right.
I'm sure it was eye-opening just to see what some other kids go through in their life.
Absolutely, and they'd always wanted to help. They're always doing trying to help somebody off the giving tree at the store or at school or whatever. So they have big hearts to begin with. But to then live it and see it and hear about it, because there's some stuff we didn't want them to hear about.
Yeah.
So we're real protective about that. But as time goes on and as they become, permanent, placements in our home, then it's like, okay, we got to open up everything, so here's why we do things this way. It's because of their history and their past, and it's just not the same as you, and here's why, and that sort of thing. So they're learning, we're learning. We take classes still to continue with our license, but also to figure out how to better manage behaviors and that sort of thing based on what they were exposed to prenatally. And it's just a daily struggle. But we understand that. We just keep trying to find a way to lighten that burden, I guess, and hopefully make them productive Sun Devil grads.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so admirable that everything that you and your wife and your family have done.
Well, my wife deserves all the credit. I get to go to work for 48 hours at the fire station and then get to go watch football. She's the one that really bears the brunt of it. So she's the true champion. I'm just a driver. That's why I say I just drive a van. Tell me where to go.
When ASU football hired Herm Edwards last year, they structured their coaching staff, as you alluded to, more off of a pro model and an NFL model. Why do you think that it's worked?
Honestly, it starts at the top. And the culture that Coach Edwards has brought in, everybody's really bought in. And if they don't, there's somewhere else that they should be, whether it's in football or another university, or just find something else to do. But honestly, it's Coach Edwards, and it's the DNA that he instills, and the coordinators do a great job of recruiting to that model. And like I said, you got to be tough, mean, fast, nasty. I mean, that's across the board, And we saw really good strides this first year, and a lot of Sun Devil faithful is pleased with this first year. But inside the building, there's unfinished business. We left a few games out there that could have gone the other way. Every game was within 7 points or so, so close. So another year, good recruiting class, another year older, stronger, that much more established. So really looking forward to another, to next season. And we start spring ball on Tuesday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so we're ready to roll.
Yeah. So I wanted to share with you, I had a chance, as you know, because you weren't in the office that day, but obviously somebody had told you, or we just missed each other, but I had a chance to go visit ASU and the new football facilities. I guess it would have been over the summer maybe, because Charlie Fisher was a friend of mine from when he was the head coach at Western Illinois, and he's now obviously the wide receivers coach at ASU. But my dad was with me. I took my dad with me. They let me bring my dad, and my dad was so impressed. He had a chance to meet Herm briefly, and was just really impressed with his energy and his passion, and really everybody that he saw and met on staff. But can you sense, even when you first came on, just that there's something special going on, that it's different in some way than even, you and I were exposed. Dirk Cutter was the head coach at ASU when we were there as athletes. So we've been around football programs a little bit, but could you sense that it was something different going on?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, my experience within a program was limited, so you're kind of seeing what you can through the media, through, maybe we ride an elevator with them to the weight room or something like that, but you don't really get a good snapshot then. But man, sitting in meetings with Coach Edwards, you just want to run through the brick wall afterwards, and he has a special way of just delivering a message. He leans in and he'll whisper, and he could be say, "Go change the light bulb," and man, you're ready to roll. So it's just his presence, how he carries himself, everything's positive. He's a teacher. His title's coach, but he's a teacher, and he's not going to yell and scream and berate you and all that. He's going to tell you why. And okay, if there's issues, he'll take care of it, obviously, but that just trickles down. And so now you got all the way down to position coaches and GAs and even us, that hide out in the closet in the back room of the recruiting office. You just want to be better, because you're working for the greater cause, and you feel really good about what's going on in the building, and you just don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
My conversation with Kyle Morgan continues in just a second, but if you're enjoying this edition of the MVFC First and Goal podcast, check out all the Lineup Media Group offerings, sports and non-sports podcasts. Now back to the show. Kyle, you mentioned about spring football starting on Tuesday, which, it's early, but I'm sure everybody's super excited to get it going. What are the Sun Devils' biggest priorities besides figuring out the quarterback position?
Probably figuring out how to split the reps between the quarterback position. I mean, that's probably, what keeps Coach Likens up at night right now.
Yeah.
You got 4 guys really fighting for the reps, and, 3 guys that just signed in December that are now on campus.
Okay.
Ready to roll.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them progress and that. And there's going to be some mistakes, and everybody understands that. But like Coach Edwards says, experience. You want the talent to play, but you gotta get talent that experience. And when those two things line up, then you've really got something. So yeah, quarterback position, got to replace N'Keal Harry at receiver. So we're going to see some of those guys step up. Got a great offensive line returning. So just more continuity with them. Defensive line is going to be a big question. So who's going to step up? Got great youth at linebacker. And then the back end, just more time in Coach Gonzalez's system, I think is going to provide a lot more plays going to be made this year. But yeah, it's really just the young guys, another year older, that much more faster, that much more confident. It's going to really lead to some good things come fall.
That's great. We mentioned that you and I were both cross-country and track student athletes. So what would you say are some of the differences that being a football student athlete entails as opposed to somebody like you and I? And I guess when I ask that, some of the maybe less obvious differences.
Probably just the time, because we can go out and we can get a really good training run in. A workout, whether it's a time trial, anything, you can get a lot of work done in an hour as a runner.
Yeah.
And you're just getting through positional drills at practice after an hour. We don't have any film to watch of other runners.
Yeah.
You can just scroll the times and kind of see what that looks like, right? Whereas the film study, the playbook, we don't have any plays. The gun goes off and, we had I forget what he called it, our prescription, right? Our race plan.
Race plan, yeah.
Yeah, so we had that, but we wrote that, and we kind of knew how we were going to run a certain course, what was going to be our strength, where we'd have trouble, that sort of thing. But pretty much the gun goes off and you run and you push yourself, and you're really fighting more the mental aspect as a runner. Whereas football, you got to get over that. You got 4 to 6 seconds. Depending on how it goes, you got to let it go.
Yeah.
And get ready for the next one. And you got to be thinking on your feet. The other team's going fast, so you got to be ready to roll. And so I just think the preparation is so much greater in football than it was in track and cross country. And we haven't even talked about the training room,
Oh gosh.
The weight room.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was blown away because when I came in freshman year, which would have been, I'm dating myself, but it would have been 2000. It was like they had just remodeled the old weight room. And built that I think, what is it called? What do they call it? The Carson Center? Or I'm trying to think what it was called.
Used to call it the ICA, I think.
Yeah,
right?
You're right, the ICA.
Yeah.
And so it was all brand new. It had just been built. And then when I got the tour of the new football facilities, I was just in total disbelief how much better everything is. It's just massively different.
Yeah, all that new stuff that was new then, now it's not good enough.
No.
So now the non-revenue sports get to use it, which is great, because it's an upgrade to their facilities too. But you get the cool tubs, it's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was I didn't get to go in the locker room because there was guys in there, but my dad did, and I think he said there was a barber station or something in the locker room.
Oh yeah. So there's got a little barber shop there, and then that feeds into a cool tub that'll hold like 20 or 30 guys, and it's got waterfalls and TVs and color changing LEDs, and obviously the sound system has to be on point, right?
Yeah.
It's just they did a great job.
Have you guys seen a difference so far, just even in the recruiting, just giving kind of that extra push?
Oh, I think so. It's nice when you play a home game against somebody and they say, hey, you guys did this right. I forget what team, UCLA or Utah, one of those two. They said, wow, or no, it's Michigan State. They said, wow, you guys did a great job with this. So that feedback from pretty much people that you're competing with for recruits, to get that feedback is huge. And, we'll see. Like I said, I just started in June, really, so this is kind of my first true cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning quite a bit, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm just so happy to be a small, I emphasize small part of this operation, but I'm really happy.
I cover mainly FCS student athletes in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So hypothetically, if I'm a player prepping for my pro day in the spring, how am I getting somebody like your attention as a scout?
Well, they're saying the film doesn't lie, so obviously what you put on film it's what you have to live with right now, because everybody's going to run faster at the pro day than they are at the combine. Everything's scripted for the pro day, so you expect it to go a certain way. So pretty much film is going to take precedence. How do you do, 4th and goal, on tape? Did you rise to the occasion? Did you make the stop? Do you have emotion? Do you, all that stuff? So for now, it's more the interview process, character. These scouts at Senior Bowl, I'll just go back to that. Here they are interviewing these kids. They just want to know if they love the game, because they're about to invest a lot of money, time, resources. How much do you love it? There's a lot of guys that are really talented. There's not a lot of guys that truly love the game. And so, there's no, you just got to find it, and you can find it in practice. You can find it by talking to these guys' coaches and academic advisors, and equipment managers, pretty much anybody that they interact with. How's this guy when the camera's not off or not on him,
Yeah.
How does he act there? So, I think as far as catching a scout's eye is really just proving that they can be a true professional, not somebody that they have to worry about, and that they back up what they show on film. Mm-hmm. And, there's going to be misses. There is every year at every level, even high school to college, now college to pro, there's going to be misses. There's going to be late bloomers, that sort of thing, guys that were playing out of position. So it's really just, and that comes down to their pro day, then they got a shot. Now they have the entire NFL's eyes and attention right there. So make it count. Yeah. But no, it's exciting for these kids. It's an exciting month or two leading up to the draft. And, just I want to see them make it. Yeah. I want to see them have a shot.
That makes sense. I'm a big Tony Romo fan as a broadcaster. And you had an interesting tweet recently, which I found fascinating about Romo. And you posed the question, why don't teams consider using a quarterback to fill defensive coaching roles? So would you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, my thought with that was basically, here's a guy, he's watched more film than anybody in the facility, right? He knows their tendencies, he knows down distance, situational stuff. Why not have that mind working for the defense? Hey, this is what they're likely to attack versus this, this front, this situation, whatever. And really just try and flip it. Everybody thinks that, hey, it's an offensive mind. Let's make them call plays. Yeah. Well, if everybody is calling the same plays and situations, that sort of thing, why don't we use it to our advantage to try and stop it?
Yeah.
What gave him problems? He's kind of known for his blunders as well, too, unfortunately,
yeah.
with as great of a career as he had. Mm-hmm. And, so what led to some of those mistakes? What do you wish you knew now that you knew then, that sort of thing, and take that to the coaching, to the sidelines. So that was all, with that, just kind of thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yeah. And it's a really valid point, and I'll be interested to see if anybody here in the next couple of years, thinks outside the box like that and decides to hire somebody like that.
It's a copycat league, so I don't see it happening anytime soon. But we'll see. Everybody's all infatuated with the air raid, and anybody that had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, that sort of thing now, right? So
sure.
Who knows? Maybe he'll start it and it'll be a great thing next year.
And you can take the credit for coming up with the idea, right?
Right.
In just a couple hours, we're going to have the Super Bowl between the Patriots and Rams. So who are you picking for the game and why?
It's hard to go against Belichick and Brady. As much as I like what the Rams are doing and how creative they are, I worry about a young quarterback on that big of a stage. And there are some that do it and do it just fine, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. But I just think that at some point late in the game, the lights are going to be too bright for Jared Goff. And so we'll see. But I'm going Patriots. I think it'll be close, though. Maybe something where Patriots go out to an early lead. Maybe they're like a 17-6 at halftime type thing, and then the Rams come back and make it a game. But I just think come fourth quarter, I just think Belichick and Brady and all their experience and comfort in that situation and that stage will just be too much. Who do you got?
I got the Patriots too. Same reason actually. And full disclosure, I am actually a Patriots fan, and that's dating back to when I was little because I grew up in New Hampshire for 10 years. So I'm one
of the few.
One of the few true fans back when they weren't even good. So. A lot of the same reasoning. I just don't think you just don't pick against Brady and Belichick. He's constantly changing schemes, and what they do one week, they're doing the total opposite the next week. So I just think that's so hard to game plan for. I am interested to see how much pressure the Rams defense can get on Brady. I think that's the one time he can be vulnerable is if you hit him a lot and hit him hard. There's been times he hasn't played well in those situations, but right. I still would pick the Pats.
Oh, yeah. And conversely, what are the Patriots going to do against the Rams? They're going to really focus on stopping the run.
Yeah.
And make a young quarterback try and beat him. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if he can do it.
Totally. Kyle, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share? Whether it be about football, scouting, ASU, or your family or anything?
I don't know. The biggest takeaway, I think, is just find out what you love and what you're passionate about, and go do it. Do what it takes to achieve your goals. And here I am, 38. I'm in an office with a bunch of 20 to 24-year-olds, which is a little awkward. I'll be honest. But don't let that slow you down. If you love it, then there won't be a day that you feel like you're working.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with football. And just find out what you're passionate about and do what it takes, both educational wise and networking and all that. I've learned so much in the last couple of years just from a networking standpoint.
Yeah.
And that puts you out of your comfort zone, but it also makes you more confident as you're pursuing your passions too. So everything's about relationships.
Yeah.
Everything. So just find them.
How many of the guys on the staff know kind of your backstory and just sort of non-traditional approach to getting into the business?
Probably very few, honestly.
Yeah.
I know a couple do, and whoever they talk to, I don't know. It's beyond me at that point.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just have a small little niche and just trying to carve out a little bit bigger role and see where that leads. And with that, I'll get experience and confidence, and networking. It all just kind of runs full circle.
Yeah. Would you like to stay in college football, or if you had an opportunity to do something at the pro level, would you pursue that?
Probably either, honestly. I've really enjoyed the recruiting side of it. I would like to become a decision maker at some point. And I know
Yeah.
I got a lot to learn with that still too. But then the NFL, with that comes other obstacles, and being a road scout. And, here I am leaving my wife for a couple weeks, traveling the country scouting players, leaving her with the kids.
Yeah.
So that'll present its own set of issues in that. But she knows kind of the story and what to expect, and she's been real supportive.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, it's been fun to catch up with you, and I'm
Absolutely.
so excited about all your success.
Yeah, well, same with you. I mean, I just sit back and watch, you covering basketball and football games, and being an ASU alum, and everything that you've done for women in sports is fantastic. So I hope that you keep doing great things with that as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And next time I'm in Phoenix, we'll have to meet up and get together.
Sounds great.
Cool.
Anytime.
If you like what you heard from Kyle Morgan in our MVFC First and Goal podcast, take a moment to share, subscribe, and leave a review. lineupmedia.fm also is home to many other sports podcasts, shows like Fairways and Greens, The Drop, and You're on the Clock. You can also find us on iTunes and Stitcher.